Hello, hello everyone. Welcome tonight. We are going to talk about rust color, we're going to do technique, and we're going to do a ton. Now, if you're not able to watch everything, I am going to be recording this and saving it on my page. So either come, check it out later once it's saved on the page, or hang out with me tonight. Okay, so tonight we are going to be talking about my new technique. Excuse me, I've been sick for like 2 weeks. My new technique, this is the shooting star. And what I love about this technique is it is super fast, express, easy peasy lemon squeezy, but it's going to give you that luxury high-end look that our clients are wanting without all the time that goes into it. And how this is going to break down, so you can see her right here. So this is the after, this is the before, so this is what it looked like prior, and then this is the after of the shooting star technique. Now, how this technique is done is we are going to take a super easy sectioning. If you've taken any of my classes, you will see I go right side, left side. We're not jumping all around the head, making a ton of different sections. So when I go to section her, what we're gonna do is, let's come on this side to show you. Every single client of mine and every single technique, we are going to go off of their part. We're gonna take it back to the crown. We're gonna section that. So now we have a left and a right side going on. And then what we're going to do is right where the head starts to bend at the occipital bone, that's where I'm going to section. So I'll show you, we're going to take the comb, I'm going to let my comb glide underneath that. It's going to really show me where my sectioning needs to be. So we're going to do our right side section. Sectioning needs to be. So we're going to do our right side section, and then we're going to do our left side section. And I want to keep this simple and sweet for you guys. We're going to come here, right where the occipital is. We're going to come through, or sorry you guys, the nape. The nape. All right. And then we are going to section this bad boy away. So you're going to be left with essentially 3 sections. Clip her. Look at this clip, you guys. Isn't that cool? It's Olivia Gardens. You stick it in the middle and then clamp it right there. So now we're working with right side, left side, and a back. And every single time I do my sectioning, this is how I do it. Because every single time my client comes in, I know this is what I did, and then I make my application within. What I love about this sectioning is we are working from right to left, but see, right in the crown area as it starts to go, all of the hair from mid-crown down, this is all going to drape through the back. So you're going to be able to connect your pattern from front to back. Hold on, you guys. Let's see if that helps. Okay, I had to go on Wi-Fi. Sorry about that. So what you're going to see is when you're doing your color application, you're going to see the whole side and the back of the head all at once, making your application more of a visual. Too often, I've done a beautiful application up here, then we're working up the crown. When you rinse it, you might have some dark areas in the connecting areas between the front and the back. So that's why this sectioning, it's easy, it's sweet, it covers front to back, it's very visual. So that is my sectioning. Let's set Miss Thing aside. And we're going to talk about the products I'm going to be using today. And today we are going to be using the, here she is. So we're going to be using Bright White. See, you guys can see that. Bright White, Ultimate Blonde Powder, and Ultimate Blonde Cream. Those are Rusk's 3 lighteners that we have. And today I'm choosing Bright White because it is off scalp and it is going to give you up to 7 levels of lift. Girlfriend can lift beautifully through permanent color, virgin hair, It's going to give it nice and clean. The mix ratio is going to be a 1:2 mix ratio with bright white. And once again, this is off scalp application. I prefer to use this for a lot of my foil work. You guys will see me use Ultimate Blonde powder, and I use Ultimate Blonde powder preferably when I am hand painting. I also use it in foils. Girlfriend does everything. The Ultimate Blonde cream, that is going to be your on scalp. So the Ultimate Blonde cream, that is the lightener that we are going to have. That is in the tube of color. So don't mind me, I am gonna get myself something for my throat. I have been sick, like badly sick for 2 weeks, so we're gonna make sure I don't lose my voice during this. All right, next up, what's gonna be super important is your developer. With Rusk, what I love is we have universal developers. Our universal developers can be used with the Deep Shine Permanent, Demi, Blonde, Express, every single color within the Rusk color line. You can use the universal developers. So you're not reaching for a developer for the Demi, a developer for the lighteners. Cuts down on your cost. It's going to allow you to stock up a whole bunch more developers. I know I go through a lot of Zero Lift and 10 Ball. They're my favorite. So instead of having to get those for multiple lines, I can just use it one for everything. Today I'm actually going to use the 40 volume on my mannequin, but when I am doing lightener, I prefer to do low and slow. I will use either a 10 vol or I will use the Zero Lift. It's kind of like a good pot roast, you know? You don't want to go in and just blast cook it. It's going to be tough. It's going to be dry. Same thing with hair when we are lifting it. Using a lower developer, it's going to take longer to get you there, but she's going to keep lifting and lifting and lifting and lifting up to 90 minutes. Versus if you're using like a 30 or 40, it's going to lift really fast. So if you open up your foil, excuse me, if you open up your foils and you have a 40 volume and a 10 volume, and say you open them up within 20 minutes, that 40 is going to be way brighter than that 10. Close those foils. Go back, open those foils in 60 minutes. This one, the 40, it's going to tap out. It's going to be done. The 10 volume, she's still lifting. She's still pretty. The hair's integrity is still there. It's going to be exactly what you are looking for. So low and slow is the key to any beautiful application. Okay? Now we're going to get into tools that we're going to use, why we're going to use them. Because it's just like I think of hair coloring the same way I think of food. You wouldn't use a butter knife to cut a steak. With color, you're going to use certain tools to make sure you get the right outcome. With today's technique, we are going to be doing TZ lights. So a few tools I find is a necessity for TZ lights is we need a board. I used to be anti-board. I remember watching a show with Tabitha on it, and she's in the salon and the girl is foiling and Tabitha takes it away and she's like, no using a board. Ever since then I was like, I will never touch a board again. But with lived in color, I have learned more and more that using a board is really going to allow you to saturate the color, help with your blending, and give you control of where your lightener or color is going. The one I'm going to be using today, this one is Color Canvas. She's long, so she can really handle those long-haired clients. And what I like, I don't know if you guys can see, if I can get that tilt. See how there's like a slight taper right there to it? So what's going to happen when I apply the board, that taper is going to allow me to get nice and close where I need to on the scalp and get that lightener where I need it. So first we're gonna need a board. Then next, we're gonna need our clips. And one of my favorite clips, so when you're looking at clips, this is a color clip. Very simple, to the point, but color clips are gonna be these clips that have the teeth, the claws, they look like little alligators. When I'm cutting or working with any detail stuff, I like to use the little tiny duckbill clips, or with some of my teasies, I like to have the really tiny pin curl clips because those are going to help keep them out of the way. Those are the clips you're going to make sure that you have. Then we're going to make sure we have our foils. These are specifically for color. And I used to be a Reynolds girl. Rip those foils all day long. I remember as an assistant ripping foils. What is the difference between a color foil versus Reynolds foil? Well, the difference that you're going to see is, first of all, I like to take my pop-up foils out of my box. So here's these foils. You're not having to rip foils, cutting down time on that. When you go to pull them up, it's already right there, okay? It's gonna cut down application time. Too often, I have sat there trying to get that foil when those smooth foils are stuck to each other. Mind you, there are hacks where you can like push it and it'll roll them up. It makes it harder. The next biggest thing is how the foil folds. Having it pre-folded is gonna cut down on time because you're not sitting here trying to balance and figure out how to get that foil to fold. It's just gonna be an easy, whoop, done. The next big thing is the texture. The texture on the foil versus the smooth foil. Smooth foils, they're gonna slip. They're gonna move on you. They create texture on professional hair color foils to help grip that lightener, help grip that color. So it's not gonna keep slipping away on you, and you're not gonna keep chasing that foil, trying to keep it close to the scalp. The other thing is with professional foils, I never use heat. I never use anything on their head. I never use heat. So since I'm not using heat, what's really important is to have a foil that is thicker. And professional foils are thicker. And what is that gonna help you with? It's gonna lay on their head, and what's it gonna do? It's gonna conduct heat from their head, and that's gonna help speed up and process the hair without having to use any sort of aggressive overhead heat on them. All right. Next tool we want to have our foiling comb. Now, foiling combs come in so many shapes and sizes. This one has a shorter tail. At my studio, where I do real people's hair, that's where I keep my favorites. I prefer to use a really long tail, and that is so when I'm foiling, I can really take that foil and control it over the application on the head. When they're shorter, I prefer the shorter tails when I'm working with shorter hair. Easy peasy, but think about it when you're looking at your foil combs. The other thing you want to look at is the teeth. So these teeth, with my cough drop in my mouth, I'm talking. Other thing you want to look at is the teeth. So these teeth, with my cough drop in my mouth, I'm talking. Other thing you want to look at is the teeth. So these teeth, with my cough drop in my mouth, I'm talking, is the grip. So having a grip versus the old school foil combs that I had, straight, so you were slipping. That little grip is going to help you, once again, prevent anything from slipping on you. Okay? So we got our foil comb. Something super, super important I want to talk about as hairstylists that we don't use enough, and I'm trying to be better at, especially when I'm glossing. We want to have gloves. We want to use color gloves every foil, every balayage, You guys will catch me without them, and I'm trying to be better because our skin absorbs, okay? And if you have anxiety, depression, inflammation, and you are a hair colorist, try putting on a pair of gloves. That is going to protect us from our day in and day out use of chemicals on our clients. It's going to protect our skin so we don't have contact dermatitis. It's going to help prevent all those chemicals going into our bloodstream and creating issues on us, since we are doing this all day long with chemicals. Gloves. These are Product Club gloves. I like gloves that go up nice and high too. So it's going to protect all of that wrist area for you when you are working. And generally, I get a bigger glove. I have like really small hands. I have like kid hands. My ring size, a 3.5. So I get a medium. And the medium really allows me, if I need to grab something and reach for it, I can pull my glove off much easier and then be able to get my hand back in it. Versus if I actually got a size small, I literally have to grab a new glove and put it on because it's tight on my hand, which is good, but I can't slide in and out of it. Use your protection, guys. Okay? Next product we're going to make sure we use is color bowls. So when it comes to color bowls, the thing I like to make you guys think of is, especially when you're working with different developers or colors, my brighter the bowl, the brighter the developer. The darker the bowl, the softer the developer. So if I'm working with, say, a 0 lift and a 20 vol, my 0 lift will be the gold, and then my 20 vol will be the white, because I know the white will be the brightest and the gold will be the dullest in the sense of strength. So visually, when I'm looking at my tray, I know what I'm reaching for as well. All right. Give me 1 second. Okay. I had to get that out of my mouth. Sorry, guys. Let's get into it. Shooting star technique. It's going to save you guys a ton of time, and it is going to give you creative options too if you want to change it, and a basis for, like, when you have that client that sits in your chair and they're like, they want a lot but they have a short amount of time, this is going to do it for you. What we're going to do is, and if you guys have taken my classes, you know I like to pretend what I'm doing before I do what I'm going to do. So let's clip away the back. And how this is going to work is, we're going to do the hairline. And on the hairline, we are going to do 3 back-to-back weaves and teases. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. With these teases, we're going to do a soft tease, a halfway tease, and a full tease. We are going to start with brightness and building that. It's like a shooting star. We're building it into more depth on it. And what is beautiful about the front hairline and how this color is, no matter where your client goes to part her hair, I'm making sure that it's symmetrical. So we're doing 3 back-to-back weave and tease teasy lights on both sides. Then after that, we're going to do 3 slices, because slices are going to give the highest impact for us. We're going to do 3 slices on a diagonal back. 1, 2, 3. So think 3, 3, 3. And we're doing it on both sides. So no matter where they flip their hair, it's going to be a perfect color flow, especially for those that, you know, love to go from left to right and you're like, where do I section and where do I go? This is going to do it for you. Let's get into the color mixing, and then we will start with our application. Let's get this nice and cleared up. And when you are mixing, to make sure that you have a very consistent color every time, use a scale. A scale is also going to make sure that we are not mixing our lightener too strong, especially when they're in foils. It is very important to do a 1-to-2 mix ratio. And once again, I'm using bright white. We're going to start off with 1 scoop. And like I said, if this was an actual human, I would be using a 0 lift or a 10 vol. But because she's a mannequin and I conserve all of my 0 lift and 10 vols, we are going to use a 40 volume on her today. So we put that in there. Then next up, we're going to add our 40 volume developer, a 1-to-2 mix ratio. Pour that in there. And when you mix your lightener too thick and you see that it is a thick consistency, more like a Greek yogurt or a frosting, something that you'd want to paint with, you need to add some more developer when you're foiling. Because if you make it too strong and you put it in foils where it's conducting body heat and you're lifting, you're going to damage the hair, even if you're using a 10 vol. So we have that mixed, and now we are going to mix up our lightener. The next thing, that's what I forgot, you guys. Okay, our brushes, our color brushes. Back in the day, when I first started doing color, we had 1 color brush. And if you've been doing hair long enough, you know that that 1 color brush was stiff, it was not wide, and it didn't do a lot. Nowadays, there are so many different color brushes. And I really preach this in my class is your color brush, you need to pick out the right color brush for every technique. For example, there are the extra large color brushes, you know, the really wide ones. Those are great for root touch-ups. And there's 2 different types of color brushes that are the extra wides. You're gonna have one that's a really soft bristle. That's great for shadow rooting. The stiffer bristle is great for bleaching and gray root touch-up because that stiffer bristle is going to give you more control of your color. Okay, today we're going to be using Product Club's. This is their balayage brush. The reason I'm using it in foils is we're using a small amount of foils and I need to make sure I am getting saturation. And when you look at that bad boy, it can hold a lot of color in it. So I'm able to really get into my color bowl, apply the lightener, and get that saturation, cutting down on time and not using a smaller brush where I'm redipping, trying to get that saturation. So we're using the big boy today. All right, you guys ready? Let's get into it. If you guys have any questions, Rusk is in the house and they will be able to answer any questions for you. Make sure you guys sign up for ruskpro.com. That's where you can purchase any Rusk products that you may need or want. And that's also where we're always putting all of our education, our Freedom Tour, our Freedom Academy, all that good stuff. All right, so usually I always love, you know, when they have a little bit of the sideburn, I'm very OCD on like, I need to highlight that. Get that out of your head, okay? So let's go forward, and on the mannequin, we're gonna go through and we are going to take a forward diagonal back on her. And this is gonna be a really fine section as well. This is gonna be the finest section that you are going to use. And you can kind of see that this one has been highlighted previously, so it's giving you a really good visual to see where I am applying this. So we're going to section out what we need, and we all know that mannequin hairlines do not represent on what a real hairline does. We're going to take our color clip, this is our Product Club color clip, and we are going to clip her away. Now, when it comes to our teases, there is a rhyme and a reason for the way we tease. The first tease on these, like I said, it's going to be a soft tease. And what does that mean? We are going to take the hair, we're going to elevate it up 90 degrees, and we are going to place the comb in 1/4 of the way. Then the next foil, we're going to place the comb half the way. What is the difference? The more hair we're pushing and teasing into the foil, the more root you're going to have, the more depth you're going to have. So if you want to have a foil look like a baby light to the scalp with a slight shadow root, that's when we're going to do a 20%. And that, I mean, if you have to get in here and do that 20% a few times just to make sure you get that built up right there, make sure you do that. The other thing I want to make sure that's important that you're doing is when we are pulling this up 90 degrees, think of when I'm taking the hair and I'm pushing it, we're building more hair on the side of their head and less hair towards the part section of her head. So we're gonna have more of a tease over here than we are here. And what is that gonna create? It's gonna create depth. So thinking of that, and I also like to make sure that I have my elevation in a specific elevation where I am on the head when I'm doing teasies. So I wouldn't take this, pull it forward and just do a quick little tease like that. I wanna make sure I'm coming up 90 degrees so I can build in that. If you feel more comfortable and you can get that tease in, pulling it straight towards you, you can do that as well, okay? So the last thing I'm gonna talk about teasies before we get really into coloring is do not do this. Don't create a rat's nest, because when you go to rinse it out, you're gonna sit there in a total panic going, oh my God, how do I get this out, okay? I wanna make sure that all my teases are done with a reason. And how I do those is we're just gonna place the comb in and push. Place the comb in and push. And when you're making that, you're doing like a C shape and pushing. We're not just ratting it up. And I actually wanna take a thinner section than what I have here, because this front one you really want to be really nice and thin. Oh God, love me some mannequin hairlines. Have you guys seen how some people, they sit here and they take their texturizing shears to the front hairline and they create like what a hairline actually is? I need to try that. So now we have our section, and remember we're gonna weave. So we're gonna come through. You can do a baby weave, you can do a medium weave. The more hair you put in and leave in, the brighter it's gonna be. And we're gonna have this hair that's left out, we're gonna push it to the side. And what this hair on the front's gonna do is it's gonna help when the hair is growing in, it's gonna diffuse any sort of line that you may get. We're gonna make sure we elevate this 90 degrees. Let me move all of this so you guys can see really well. We're gonna elevate it 90 degrees. We're gonna go 25% in and we're gonna push, okay? So we have that applied in there. Now we're gonna take our board, and then we're going to take our foil and we're going to place her right here on the tip and fold it over your board when you're working on it. You're gonna take your section, and what I like, you guys can't see it, I like the long boards because I'm pressing this on my stomach. So the board's not flat floating in the sky and I'm trying to hold it. I'm gonna be supported like this, and that's how it looks off camera when you guys can't see. Now we're gonna place this and we're gonna hold and pinch with our fingers. So I'm pinching with my thumb and my fingers underneath. If you need to, take your comb and make sure you have a really nice back comb. Everything's pushed out of the way for you. Now we're gonna take our color. Look at that. There is so much color. I'm not gonna place at the root. I'm gonna place right at the mid. We're gonna apply and wipe off all the color that we can from the brush. Now we're gonna do an upward motion, okay? This upward motion is blend insurance. That's what it's doing for us. And since this is a balayage brush, it's really gonna give you that blend. And I'm still holding here, and now we're gonna paint from side to side, saturating, make sure it's all in there. Now we're gonna let go of these ends, and then we're going to saturate them down. And now with these ends, we are not gonna take them and twirl them all up. We're gonna do one little flick. I hate more when I see someone get it all knotted and just crazy right there on the ends, because you're not gonna get the saturation. See how important it is for this board to push it up. And now we're going to take the board down. Now, here's another big tip for you guys. If I were to take this foil and fold it in half, yeah, I'm not creasing right there, but when I let it down, I may end up with a slight crease there. So if I am needing to relighten everything from root to end, or root to like past where the folding point is, I am going to sandwich this foil. I'm going to sandwich it because it's going to allow it to get the even saturation that you need in there. And I like to take my board and I like to fold my foil with it. I think it gives it a crisper fold. It also, I feel like it cuts down on time versus trying to use a comb because when you take a comb and you're trying to fold this foil, you're pressing and pressing and pressing. Look how sharp and crisp and nice and clean. And that's going to hold in there really well. The other pro to doing your foils like a sandwich is if I need to check and see if this is processed, I'm able to literally just open it up and I can peek right in and then put it right back down. Versus if this was folded and I have all the color over, you're gonna be lifting and moving and it's gonna be much harder to get to and it's gonna be much harder to refold it onto itself. All right, the second foil that we're gonna be doing. Let me brush Miss Sally's hair out real quick. She was nice and smooth. And then I got crazy showing you guys what not to do on here. So we're gonna brush her out a little bit. All right, so now we're gonna go back in with another forward diagonal section. And this one is reaching more into, let me pull this out so you guys can see. This is reaching now back into her, behind her ear. Okay. We're going to get in here and we're going to open up that and open up that. Now, do you guys remember with this foil what we're going to do? This is why it's called shooting star, because we're creating like a shooting star that's coming through. So the first foil was a weave and tease with a minimal tease. This is going to be a weave and tease with a 50% tease. So we're now building in that depth on the front hairline. And even though we are going to back comb this, always make sure your sections are nice and combed out. So I prefer to, if you guys saw, when I do my weave and tease, some stylists will take this whole section, weave, and then tease. I like to take a nice slice, and then I like to get my weave from that slice, put it aside, and now we're going to elevate it 90 degrees up. We're going to go 50% in and push down. Because once again, you're going to have less of a tease here and more of a tease here. So that is really building in that depth as it's coming around and allowing for more brightness to be up and around her face. So now we're going to take our color canvas board, our nice board. We're going to take our foil. We're going to fold it over, and as you guys haven't seen, I like the long one because I'm going to brace it on my stomach. That's what I'm doing that you guys can't see off camera. Placing it, we're pinching, and then we're holding. So holding with our thumb, pinching underneath. And then I like to go through, and I like to make sure that I have all those little guys pushed away. And if you have a client that has a bunch of those little baby hairs that want to play in that foil, that's when a flat duckbill clip comes in handy, because you can take it, and I clipped it right up there along the foil. Now we're going back in with our Rusk Bright White, really saturated. We're coming halfway, loading up all of our product and making sure to wipe off as much as I can, and then we're gonna back comb up with the brush, creating a diffusion on the hair. And then remember, we're gonna brush from side to side. So this is gonna make sure that everything is saturated underneath. We're gonna let go of those ends, and then we're gonna make sure that we saturate these bad boys, redip, and then we're not gonna make squiggly ends and a hot mess. We're gonna simply make sure these guys are just nice and fully saturated. And then we're gonna drop it down. And then, like I said, we're not going to fold this in half because we do not want to create a crease right there. We're going to take another foil and we're going to place it on top and create a little sandwich. And the sandwiches make it easier for you to go back in and look and see what is going on. And I like to use my boards to fold. I think it cuts down on time, folds them cleaner. It makes your work so much easier to deal with. All right, we are almost done with the front hairline. These guys are out. Keep these in mind. We're gonna come to these in just a second, you guys, okay? So now our third weave and tease for the front hairline. So we're gonna come in and now we're gonna come, I wanna make sure my face isn't blocking you guys. We're gonna come in right here and a forward diagonal back section. We are gonna clip it away. We're using our color clip, our product club color clip. And now with this last third money piece hairline section, we are going to do a weave and a full tease. We are now fully building in that depth into the hair. And sometimes if you're close enough, you pick up the tease from below. And I'm taking the hair I'm not using and I'm pushing it down here. So see all this that I have down here? We're gonna come to those in just a second. We're gonna elevate 90 degrees up. We're gonna do a full tease. We're coming almost to the ends. I'm putting in as much as I can. That's a lot of hair in there. And what's that gonna do? That's gonna really give you some beautiful depth into that hair. We're going from light to a little bit more depth. Now we're taking our color canvas board and then we're taking our Product Club pop-up foils that are embossed. We're gonna fold it over, place it under, and once again, we're really making sure we hold the tension. So I'm pinching with my thumb and my fingers below. We do now have a lot of a tease, so this is gonna be really important to make sure you're controlling this hair. And we're gonna push that up. We're gonna come in with our Rusk Bright White. This is a 1:2 mix ratio. And on a normal client, I would be working with a 10 ball, especially on the front hairline, because the front hairline is the most fragile hair that you're gonna be working with. So we really wanna treat it with care. And that's going low and slow on the front hairline. And then using this board to really make sure you get that saturation in. And then like I said, we're gonna sit here. We're not gonna fold it because we don't wanna risk getting a crease through the middle since we are coloring from root to end. We're gonna take our foil, we're gonna fold, and we're gonna fold. All right, now this is the piece that I was talking about before we get into the 3 slices that are diagonal back. Before you hop into the rest of the color, these guys right here, you have to have your consultation with your client. And I want you to ask them, do you want your front to be nice and bright, like on her other side? See how her ends right here are fully blonde as they're coming through? That's because I fully tipped them out. Or, especially with brunettes sometimes, they like some of that depth to be left in, so I would leave this alone. If she wanted to have a beautiful bright blonde piece, I am gonna teasy these. And so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take these and we're gonna softly, we are not folding or doing anything. We're gonna clip them back and we are gonna take one of our duckbill clips, and this is just for a temporary hold. And we are gonna clip our duckbill right there. It's gonna allow us to get to these front pieces. Now, I want to over direct these pieces to the front of her face. And then we're gonna do a full tease. The over direction is gonna prevent any sort of harsh lines from getting into the color for you. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna over direct it forward. We're gonna place our tease, almost a full one, and we're gonna push up. So we're just left with these ends. and we're making sure we really push up and away. We're gonna grab our color canvas foil board, and then we're gonna grab our Product Club pop-up foil. We're gonna fold it over. We're gonna come right here. We're gonna pinch these ends. We're holding them nice and tight with our thumb. We're taking our Rusk Bright White. We're applying on the mid, really laying down that saturation of the product. And that's what I really love about Bright White. As long as you have that great mix ratio, it really glides very smoothly onto the hair. And it makes your job so much easier, and you're not really trying to overwork the product into the hair. So we're gonna drop this down. We're gonna grab our foil. We're going to sandwich her, and then we're going to take our board again, and then we are going to fold. That is the front hairline, you guys. Super easy, super sweet and simple. And like I said, I will be recording this and leaving it on my page. So if you're not able to watch the whole thing, you'll be able to come back later. And then we're gonna let these guys come down. Now, to make sure your client is comfortable, you can kind of manipulate the foils and bend them out of her face. All right, let's get into the 3 forward diagonal back sections. So now we're gonna let down her hair. And I love making sure the hair is nice and smooth. I'm gonna come through and just brush out any sort of knots that happened while I was doing the front hairline. Now we're gonna come back in and we're gonna do 3 forward diagonal slices in a tease, okay? And we're gonna make sure this is where we stopped our foil placement for the front hairline. So when I am coming back in to where I'm gonna put the highlights for the color placement, the further back it is, the more separation from that front piece to the back piece is gonna happen. That's gonna create more of a dramatic, poppy, money piece in the front for you the further away you go. The closer you bring that first highlight to the front hairline, the more of a blend you're gonna get. I wanna have her very dramatic because my other side I kept very demure, very soft, very sweet. Okay, so we're gonna take a forward diagonal section like we've been taking, and we're not gonna do any weaving. We are going to slice this bad boy and then tease. And this tease is really gonna be, you know how we worked up with the shooting star from a light, medium, strong, teasy light? This, I like to usually do a medium on each one because it's gonna give you that rooted effect that you're really looking for, okay? So now we're gonna come through, we're gonna do a slice, we're gonna drop this out. Now, as I'm working through, remember on the front where we did the teasies and then I added this guy so she could have blonder ends? Same thing, when you're thinking about it and you're doing your 4 diagonal backs, any of the hair left out, if you wanna have brighter ends, make sure that you're like, okay, we're gonna come through and we're gonna tip these guys out. Have a consultation with your client and make sure you know what they're wanting. All right, elevating 90 degrees up, placing halfway in and pushing. And remember, why I'm elevating 90 degrees up is because I'm gonna have less of a tease up towards the top and more of a tease as we start to go over the parietal ridge of their head into the round, and that's gonna create more depth. And what does more depth create? It's blend insurance. Okay, I'm a shorty and I can't put down my mannequin right now with everything going on. Usually my client, I'd press my little chair and lower him down and still be able to use my color canvas board. But for today's purpose, we're not gonna use it on these next 3 because I really can't reach them at all. Seeing whose request is. Okay, so let's pretend you don't have a color board. How would we approach it? So now, how we fold the foil is gonna be dictated why our length of our comb is so important. So I'm not gonna place this foil in like so. I'm gonna place this foil to match my section, and that section is a forward diagonal back. So I'm gonna have a forward diagonal back foil. We're gonna lift back the hair. See how I'm opening up that hair? We're gonna place the foil underneath to the scalp, pull down, release. See all these little crazy hairs that are wanting to play right there? We're gonna come through and we're gonna make sure that we push them up and out of the way. Now when I'm doing this, I'm very light. You know when you're smoothing over like teasies that are done on an updo? It's kind of like the same kind of essence that I'm going through and doing. And then we're gonna come through again because there's so much teasies. We're gonna take our duckbill clip and we're gonna clip these guys. And I also feel like when you're clipping it, it allows the foil to stay in more secure. We have our bright white 1:2 mix ratio with a 10 volume. We're loading all of our product up at the mid. We're not loading it up at the root and we're not loading it up at the ends. At the mid, and then we are going to back comb up the brush up to the T's. This is a balayage brush. It has really soft bristles, so it's really gonna help me with making sure I get that blend. So if we don't have a board, we're gonna use our hand as our board. We're gonna swoop these ends and we are gonna completely saturate these ends down. And then once again, you guys, unless we are only touching up the roots, I would fold it. But since we're not, we're doing the full length, I'm gonna make sure that I sandwich the hair. So I'm gonna actually match it up. And why I like to do that with how I have that angle up there is it's gonna allow me to press and tuck and really make this nice and clean and tight and fold and form more to the head. A way I like to secure these foils too is you can take your comb and you create an arrow or a triangle at the end. That's gonna make it super, super secure. You can also come up through here on this very little corner up here and then fold it down. So that is foil 1. All right, let's do our second foil. And that's gonna be another forward diagonal back section. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And now as you can see, we are really getting more. Here's her ear, it's right there. So with this sectioning, you can see I am now getting into the back of her head. And we're getting a lot of coverage with minimum application. And that is what the ideal goal is. I'm gonna put my big old head in your guys' way for just one quick second. There we go. And that is a forward diagonal back section that we are creating. And then we are going to OCD me. You guys, when I do my applications, I am smoothing. I am making sure everything looks pretty because I have a rule. If it looks pretty while it's processing, it's definitely gonna look pretty when it's done. So we have our forward diagonal back section. Now what we're gonna do is we are gonna take a slice. So we're gonna come in and we are going to take our slice and then we are gonna take our slice and we are gonna lift it up 90 degrees. We are gonna place our comb halfway in. We're gonna do a medium tease. And remember, we're lifting it up 90 degrees because we're really gonna build in more depth here around the parietal to the bottom. And on the top of the head, we're gonna have less of a tease. So that's really gonna create a beautiful blend in depth. That is what it's all about when it comes to lived-in hair. And I like to follow my section. So we're doing a diagonal back on my foil, lifting the hair up. A big tip with that is lifting it up because when it's down and we put it in, I don't feel like you can get as close. So we're lifting it all the way up, placing the foil under, keeping that tight tension. We're gonna take our comb and we're gonna push away all these little baby hairs. Get them out of the way because they do not need to be colored. They need to be that built-in depth and dimension so we don't have to do a shadow root. And that's another thing that I love about this technique. You don't need a shadow root. You do not need one because we are creating those blends in all the right places. We're going in with our Rusk Bright White, applying midway on the foil, making sure I really saturate. Almost all the color is off. And then that's when we're gonna back comb up, feather up with our balayage brush from Product Club. It's really gonna do that blending. So we got blend with the teas, we got blend with the brush. We are making sure we have all the blends so that when you wash this out and you get her back to the chair, you're not going, oh my God, there's lines everywhere. How do I get rid of these lines? This is gonna prevent those lines for you guys. So we're just applying the lightener. Now, when I go to gloss, my go-to gloss for this, because we're talking about express application, my go-to gloss is going to be Express Gloss from Rusk. Rusk has 4 express glosses. We have a 9P, a 9VR, a 7N, and a 6NW. I love, love, love to do 9P and 9VR equal parts, and in 5 minutes you will have a spectacular, beautiful blonde. It's a sleeper, you guys. Try it out. All of my blondes you've been seeing this summer, that has been very much my go-to formula. All right, we are on our last foil, 3, 3, and 3. So we're gonna come here, and as you guys can see, I'm pivoting. So when I'm doing these foils, I know it's hard to see on the camera. Let's see if I can use this. So we're taking it and we're right here, and then we're pivoting up and we're pivoting up. We're not so much just going foil, foil, foil. We're kind of just like in a pivot. We're not staying on it, but we're keeping the top of these foils are a little bit closer and the bottoms are kind of starting to fan out, because that is really going to create that depth and that built-in low light for you as well. Alrighty, last one. And as you guys see, I clipped away the back part, so I'm able to really grab this whole section and pull it up. I'm not having to like cipher through it and try to find where the section is, where the hair is. I'm not having to deal with any of that. So we're doing another forward diagonal back section, and then we're going to take our color clip, and then we are going to twist, clip her away. We're going to do a slice. So I'm going to pull it forward, and this is going to be a big one. You guys ready for this? So we're going to slice this, hit in the back of the head, and we're going to slice, and it's going to curve with the head. And then we're going to take this section, elevate it 90 degrees, and we're going to do a mid tease, so that's halfway, and push. Then we're going to take our Product Club embossed foil that's going to help really grip onto that hair. We're going to do a forward diagonal back fold on our foil, elevate the hair back away from us, place the foil at the root, keep the tension with your fingers, and pull straight down. And then the pinky and finger press it down. I have all this hair here, and we're gonna make sure that we really take our comb and press all those hairs away, because we don't need them to play. Take our duckbill, plop it in there. And then we're gonna come through, we're gonna take our Rusk Bright White, apply it midway, get really all that product off our brush. We're going to take our Rusk Bright White, apply it midway, get really all that product off our brush. We're going to take our Rusk Bright White, apply it midway, get really all that product off our brush. To lose you guys. So over direction, I'm gonna over direct it and tease it. And how I'm gonna make sure I get to all these, because I'm like, barely get the tips on here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip and open those up. See how opening these guys up allows me full access? And use a duck bill. Do not use your little color clip up here, because the color clips that look like little crocodiles, they can really create holes in your foils. So now we're gonna take it, we're gonna take our comb, we're over directing forward, pressing the comb in, and one push up. I am not creating a rat's nest. We're back to our color canvas board, and then we're gonna take our Product Club pop-up foil, and I am now balancing this on my leg. That's why I love this really long board, because it allows me to support it and push it where I need to. And I have it fully supported on my leg, so I can really concentrate on that. And then I need another clip to clip away these. So this is my triple clip. I love her. Coming in, this is our very last section, you guys. Applying midway, really saturating, getting all that color. And then we're gonna feather up, and then we're gonna come, get those ends nice and colored. Make sure it's fully saturated. Get in there with that color, that lightener. Don't be shy, because the more you see, the brighter it will be. So then we're gonna come in, we're gonna make a sandwich, then we're gonna take our color canvas board, and then we are going to fold her. All right, you guys, that is the shooting star technique. Using all of my lightener was Rusk Bright White. So we used Rusk Bright White tonight. And if you guys see me like pushing it over, side to side, I'm on TikTok and Instagram. So we're double doing. And then I will make sure, and Rusk will too, that I have the head map for how this placement was done. So 3, 3, and 3. So we have 3 teasies on the front, 3 teasies forward diagonal, and then we tipped out the ends. And that is going to leave us with a very soft, lived-in color where you have all the brightness where you want to see it. The brightness is so important on our clients' wear on the front. If you're short on time, you need to foil this front. You need to create that brightness for them, because that's where they're going to see it, is the front. Where's the other spot? It's going to be their ends. So that's why you guys saw me tip out all those ends, because that's going to really create that brightness that you're looking for. And this is just going to create depth too. You can see the ribboning that's going on. I got a lot done in an hour. Alrighty, you guys. Well, it has been a